Hi, y'all. Welcome back. Today I'm joined by Logan Burroughs, a man with over 1 million streams on Spotify and just 3 years of producing lo-fi beats.
How's it going?
What's up, man? Okay, here we go. Just have a few quick questions. Just first thing that comes to mind. Favorite synth?
Keyscape.
Favorite book?
Atomic Habits.
Spotify or Tidal?
Spotify.
NFTs, scam or the future?
The future.
Best live performance you've seen?
Ooh. Dang.
Just,
What comes to mind is whenever I saw Say Anything do Is a Real Boy all the way through.
yeah.
It's probably my favorite.
Nice. That was here, right?
Mohawk, yeah.
It was a Mohawk. Okay,
Yeah.
dope. And best age, what's the age to retire?
Whatever 10 years from now is.
Just generally?
Yeah, just whatever working for 10 years means for you. I think everybody should have to work for 10 years and then...
And that's it.
You get to do whatever
You
you
start
want.
working at 17.
27.
27.
Yeah, I wish I'd
Damn.
done that.
Oh, yeah, we should say. Damn. You say you started streaming, you started producing 3 years ago?
Yeah, give or take. I got Logic summer of 2018, but didn't really start really digging into it until, about 3 years ago.
Oh, word. And when did you put up your first track?
So I started doing the lo-fi thing with our friend Kyle, and we put out some tracks right after I started really taking it seriously, so beginning of 2019. And then I put out tracks throughout that whole year, and all of those tracks have since been taken down. But yeah.
Just by choice?
Yeah, just because as time went along and I started to get it more and more, I realized the difference between tracks that should be officially released versus some that might be better off just hanging out on the hard drive.
Yeah, no, for sure. Did it help, you think, the overall streams by taking out some tracks, or do you feel like you got a big hit from pulling those out?
No, because those weren't doing that well to begin with, but I would say no matter what those tracks sounded like, I feel like the big thing was taking them off because of the album art. Because I feel like that plays a huge part in how well tracks do is, if you don't have well thought out, well curated album art, that's a big part of all of it. So mostly pulled them down because the album art wasn't well thought out. If that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that makes sense.
But yeah.
I wonder how that affects retention, keeping people listening to if you're on shuffle or something by pulling out some of those tracks.
I feel like the people who were listening to those tracks that got pulled were just my friends and people I know for the most part. But with the tracks that have done better since then, I don't feel like there's a lot of retention just because it is the nature of how lo-fi works.
Right.
Where a lot of the times, even if somebody does happen to listen to it twice, it's probably by accident because it's just they've listened through that playlist all the way through, or they just happen to hit shuffle and my track won the lottery of the shuffle.
So as far as, do you think it's exclusive to lo-fi beats or all music where the place where you'll get listened to the most is playlists?
I think it varies, but yeah, for lo-fi, it's definitely heavily playlist driven, where it's a lot of the producers in that scene, even if they have 60 million streams or whatever it is, not that many people in the real world know who they are or know anything about them at all. They just have been streamed a bunch of times because the playlists pick them up. Yeah, that is like a complete deviation from how the
regular
regular
music stuff. Okay, I'm gonna backtrack a little bit and just like give a little bit of background. So you and I have known each other for like 9 years. 9 years, I
Yeah.
think.
Yeah.
9 years since freshman year of college.
Crazy.
Yeah. And that was it freshman year when we started a band? Or was it the next year? It was the second year.
I don't. Well, yeah, second year.
Yeah, our second year we
I
started
don't know
a
what
band.
took so long.
It's like 8 years ago we started a band called the Smile Bunch. And it's now become more of a collective of, would you say, like, just generally like emo musicians around town?
Yeah, I mean, eventually I would like to just open it up to anybody who would be interested in being involved.
Just like any genre?
Yeah.
Like within like the rock space?
Yeah, I mean, I think obviously that's where we're starting, because that's where
That's where we left off like 3 years ago.
Yeah, but I wouldn't be opposed to opening it up to like more dancey or poppy, like poppy proper type tracks. But yeah, it's definitely more rock focused for now. I think in my head, it's more just anything that like sounds good and is fun.
Yeah, I remember when we first started talking about starting down the music path in Austin. You had mentioned that it was like your live stream, and like this is your goal, and you're gonna stick to it, and you really have. And the goal was to be able to let your music be kind of self-sufficient, to be able to make money off of music, so you can keep making music. Basically. And I think it seems like you accomplished that just like a year ago?
Yeah, I mean...
Or 2 years ago?
I mean, more recently than that.
More recently?
Yeah, I've
okay.
always had to have like some sort of day gig up until a couple of months ago, but... Yeah.
But congrats. That's awesome,
yeah.
man. It's definitely the persistence that's like, it seems like that's the key.
Oh, yeah. Any time I thought about giving up, I just knew that wasn't an option. So,
yeah,
it wasn't really a choice I had to make.
Yeah, I definitely strayed away from it, but I don't think it was like a conscious decision of like giving up. It was more of like, I'm better at this, these other things. And like, so I like, push towards those things, the things that you were better at, I guess, and you've always had a great ear for music. So.
Yeah, and I wouldn't say that you've given up by any means.
Well, I got instruments in the room, hoping to pick them up.
I mean, what did we do 2 days ago?
That's true. We did record a track that's been sitting on the shelves for like about 3 years now.
Yeah, probably at least.
Yeah, we picked it back up and wrote lyrics and
finally
recorded that
song that we had talked about recording.
Yeah, so I'm really happy that we did that finally.
Me too. And I think it's gonna be a hit.
Yeah, actually, I forgot how fun it was. Honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's super fun. So, I got to play a few shows since then, and playing shows was really fun up until the pandemic. But yeah.
Well, they're back.
Yeah, shows are back for sure. But now, I'm busier than ever.
Yeah.
Which I'm super happy for.
You got some streams of income to pick up.
Yeah. Speaking of which, so how do you make money off of music? So if somebody were to say, I want to do what you're doing, I want to make money off of music. So first of all, no.
I would say don't do what I'm doing.
Well, it did take you a while, but it was like trial and error. And when you landed on deciding to make lo-fi beats, like how long since you made the switch to lo-fi beats were you able to start making money, and how are you making money?
Yeah, I guess I got into the whole lo-fi thing just really because of a producer called 1-2. I think he's a brilliant producer, and his music like really spoke to me. And so I was like, I want to do that. And Yeah, at first, like, of course, it was always about money, but at first it was just like, I just want to do this because it looks like fun.
Mm-hmm.
And then one of my good friends, Luke Cox, started seeing a lot of success in lo-fi, and he really pushed me to like start taking it more seriously. And yeah, like once you get a few streams, they do start to add up eventually. Those like micro pennies
Mm-hmm.
do start to add up. But yeah, basically, you just put out the song and you pitch it to playlists and you hope for the best, kind of.
How do you pitch it to playlists?
So like it always helps if somebody like in the industry vouches for you and pitches. Basically, how it works on Spotify is you upload your song and then you can pitch, you can like literally write a pitch. So you'll like do a little paragraph or something and then you like basically give info about the song and then that goes to the curators of the playlist. And then more than likely, if you're pitching it yourself, that's going to just like completely not ever get listened to or looked at by anybody.
Yeah.
But if you have somebody, because other people...
So you had that producer that you first mentioned, right? Or is that just an inspiration? Was that somebody that you met or what was his name? Sorry.
Oh, the first 1-2.
1-2. Yeah.
No, I've never met that guy.
You never met that guy?
I think he lives in Germany.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, no, yeah. I initially heard about just like basically instrumental hip hop through his music first. And yeah, that was my musical inspiration. But then like I'm starting to try and make money off of it. It was, yeah, basically like the people around me like seeing success and kind of like taking me under their wing and showing me the ropes and yeah, eventually starting to see some success myself.
Awesome. Yeah, so I think you had mentioned to me before this that there are 4 different streams. So it's streams of income from music. It's not just streams on Spotify.
No.
What are the other 3?
Let's see, what else? I DJ weddings. I sell merch at shows.
For operator?
No. I work for Live Nation doing that. So I basically, Live Nation, the like biggest concert promoter probably in the
Right.
world. A lot of their local shows that they book, like they don't only do festivals, they do like shows in like clubs and stuff. And on a lot of their contracts, like basically somebody has to sell merch because they get a cut of the merch also. And so either the tour has somebody on the road with them selling or they have to hire out a merch person for that night. And you'd be surprised at how many acts go around with nobody selling their merch. So yeah, whenever they don't have a merch seller or maybe like somebody wants a day off or something, they'll just like give me a call.
Cool.
Yeah.
So I just talked to Austin Roa, like I was mentioning to you, who's a concert photographer for some huge bands. And he started off doing, offering like to take photos and do the merch table for bands.
That's
and,
smart.
So he's doing both and like running back and forth from the stage to like the table, which is
super
nuts.
stressful.
Yeah. I figure that seems like a lot of what like music business is though. It's kind of like that kind of hustle, unfortunately. Or fortunately.
Yeah, I think it definitely depends on how you look at it.
Sure.
But it's, yeah.
Like you can pick yourself up and go and like offer, be of value and that in itself is like enough to get, I guess, attention or find success. Is that kind of what you mean by like, depends how you look at it?
I mean, I think it just like depends on how you look at it, and like you can either be like, oh, I have to like do so many, like play so many different roles, or you can just be like, I get to do different things every day.
Right. No, yeah, for sure.
Which
That's
really
definitely a way better way to look at anything. Yeah, I definitely try to do that myself instead of like, whenever things, deadlines are coming up, it's got to be like, I get to do this, so that definitely keeps me going as well.
Yeah, makes everything a little bit more tolerable. even whenever stuff gets really stressful.
So DJing weddings, streams, selling merch for Live Nation. Is that something like you signed up for online or something, or?
So I got into it from being on. So it used to be called C3. C3 was just Austin and like some like Dallas and Houston stuff. They got bought by Live Nation. So I originally signed up for the C3 street team. So like putting up posters, handing out flyers in exchange for like free shows and free ACL tickets and stuff like that. And then basically at one point they sent out a thing and they were like, anybody who wants to sign up to sell merch, let us know.
Nice.
And that was like 7 years ago.
Yeah.
Still doing it.
Yeah, you've been doing that for 7 years.
Yeah.
That's crazy. How much time do you do that? Like a month?
It really depends. Like, you know, March to like May-ish, and then September to like November-ish is super busy. Less over the like summers and winters. So like this month, I think I'm doing like, and the thing is it's super sporadic. You know, it's like you might be getting a call the day of, but like I think I've got 6 on the calendar this month. And then
nice
with South.
That's not bad. Yeah, I guess with things picking up, it's like a lot more. Yeah, and it helps that we have South by in town.
Yeah,
for sure.
But, yeah.
And what's the 4th?
And then I do like admin stuff for the record label that puts out most of my lo-fi music.
How does the label make money?
Well, like any record label, they just like, well, it's not like any record label, but they do take a cut of all of the streaming money. And then, yeah.
What's their cut?
Off
really of like individuals.
It depends. Like some labels take up to 50%, which is nuts, but a lot of the labels who are taking that much have a lot to offer.
Okay.
Right? So
right. Like you said, it's a lot of it is like the leverage of being able to get you on playlists.
Yeah. So like some record labels operate as like ginormous playlists, and that is like what they have to offer is like if they're going to put out your music, you're pretty much guaranteed to be put on their playlist and see like X amount of streams or whatever it is. And then other things that the labels have to offer is like connections with people who will like pitch your music, or like maybe they don't have like a huge playlist or like, you know, multiple millions, but maybe it has like 100,000 listeners, or like even you know, they have a playlist that they can like guarantee a spot for you on. Right. But yeah, anywhere from like 15 to 50%.
Yeah, it's a ton.
Pretty standard.
Honestly. And is that on like your overall streams, or is it like per track?
No, it's per track.
Oh,
so
okay.
Like a lot of people in lo-fi aren't like signed to a record label, which I think is one differentiation from that versus like the normal music business world. But yeah, it's based off of track or per album that they'll take. Yeah. And yeah, assumingly if they're going to be taking 50%, you're probably still going to end up making more than you would have if they were taking like, if a different label was taking 30% or whatever.
So with over 1 million streams, how much are you making from just streaming alone?
I mean, it varies month to month. Like I think the most I've seen in a month is like $600. But you know, some months it's like 100. It just like depends on how much music I'm putting out and how well that music is doing. But yeah, I mean, I know there are some people who make a lot of money doing this.
So you have a juniper hair, I think, right here. Right in the, yeah, you got it.
Yeah.
Can't get close to her.
I have been very close to her.
I think it was juniper. I don't know. Doesn't matter.
Either way.
I just noticed it.
Appreciate you saying something.
Okay. And is that like your cut, or is that like the total and then you take half of it?
Yeah, that's my cut.
Okay.
So, yeah. And that's based off of different deals for different songs, right? So like, yeah, I get a certain percent based off of like my role in the song and who's putting it out on their label.
Oh, so it gets even more fragmented if you like collaborate with other people.
Right. Yes.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
And you have to like calculate that per track.
Yeah, I usually don't think about that though. I usually just am like, okay.
Does the label kind of handle that stuff?
So you sign up for the distributor and they have a portal, and so they'll send you like how much gross your track made this month or your music made this month, and I think they break it down per track. Well, like I said, I usually just like don't even look, but like it'll say this is how much your music made total, and then this is how much you're getting based off of all your various cuts.
Right. Well, it seems like you're, obviously doing well from these several different sources of income just off of music, different kind of music routes. And you wish like you had you wouldn't tell anybody else to try to do this. Why or like why not? Or like if you're doing it, like what are some of the other options like people could do to if that's they really hope to continue doing music or like music related things to kind of fund their lifestyle.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's different for everybody. I just feel like personally I'm like all over the place. It's all like under this music umbrella.
Right.
So I would advise like, but yeah, it's difficult because I want to say, like stick to the thing you want to do, but like I do want to do all of these things.
Right.
Sure. And yeah, it's like I'm not just into lo-fi, I'm not just into rock, I'm not just into DJing,
Right.
But
because you're also producing for other people as well, not just for your own stuff.
Right. Yes. And so that's even a whole other different ballgame.
Right.
Like, and a different skill set and a different route to take.
Right.
So yeah, I don't know.
So somebody wants to start making money off music today. What could they do?
I mean, yeah, there's like so many different routes, and it depends on what it is that you like to do. If you want to be an artist, then I would start trying to make as high quality tracks as possible. And if you're explicitly trying to make money off of being an artist, I would listen to what's getting playlisted, because largely that's going to be a huge source of income. Right, like the way that it works now is that Spotify has given a way for artists who don't initially have a fan base a chance to potentially get money off of their music. That has never really been an option before. Like pre-Spotify, if you wanted to make money off of your music, somebody would already have to know who you were, buy your music in some way, shape, or form.
Right. So you have access to a bigger market, obviously. So is it a good time to start in music today, or is it kind of on the downhill now that Spotify has been around, streaming's been around for like a while?
No, I mean, I think that there's just so many different ways to make music or make money off of music. But so I would absolutely say that if that is your goal, it's been more of an option for more people than ever before, where I almost feel like, whatever, our parents or whoever, like older people, they don't view music as this like realistic job because they only know of like Elton John or it's either Elton John or just like their friend who like plays local gigs or whatever it is, and that's the only two like spectrums of music that they know is just like multimillionaires or people who like never made it. But like even if like this person who's like not Elton John but still playing music, if that was like always their thing, or they're able to like do what they want to do musically, then they've like made it just as much as Elton John did, right?
Well, arguably.
Like not as much, but like I guess what I'm getting at is that there's more ways than ever to like have like to be like a working musician, to like just be in the like a laborer of music.
Yeah. Right. So I guess so. It seems to me like it's not. My opinion is that it's not. You're not getting a share of a big pie. It's like everybody has access to the whole pie, basically, in a way. When it comes to the different ways that you can make money, the different ways that you can reach an audience, like especially nowadays with obviously with all the different ways people can have access to music. Like they don't listen to like one artist exclusively. Like if they're already listening to one of this genre of music, like they're not going to be like, well, I don't have room for like another artist in that genre, etc. That's kind of what it seems like to me. So despite there being more options to make music, do you feel like that adds competition, or what's your opinion on that? Now that more people are able to make music, is it making it harder to gain streams, to gain followings, or not really?
That's a good thought. And it's like, I think it's a double-edged sword where the barrier to entry to making great music is significantly lower now than it ever has been. So of course, just like there's going to be more music being made, so there's going to be a lot more bad music being made as well. But then just like like law of percentages or like something like that, there's going to be more great music being made also. But then at the same time, there's more opportunities. So like, with streaming services like Netflix or Hulu these are effectively brand new, like Paramount or Universal, like there are more companies making these like high budget works for like television and for film. And so those all have big budgets, and they have big music budgets. So there's way more opportunities for sync.
Yeah.
There's more opportunities for people to just, like I was saying earlier, of like, you don't need a fan base to make money off of your music. There's a lot of different ways, like where Spotify is kind of like a built-in marketing tool. To where if you are lucky enough to get on a playlist, like my music's been streamed over 1 million times, like how many fans does operator have? Like not that many. It's like pretty much people I know, plus maybe like literally one or two other people.
Right.
But like, did those people who listen to my song like it when they listen? Like, obviously I hope so.
Right.
But like, were they like, oh my God, this is awesome, I gotta go like check out more of this guy's music? They like went in one ear out the other. And
so in that way, I guess it's like you're making money off of streaming, but you're not necessarily marketing the brand, the operator as much through Spotify, really.
I think that is also the like scary thing about the world that we're in, because I feel like there's not as easy of a way to build a fan base for this like lo-fi thing. I mean, obviously people have done it. Like I said earlier, I was a fan of this guy 1-2, and I feel like he does a really good job of like branding himself as this like both like this artist that is separate from just like being a playlisted act, while also like making music that is accessible to be put on playlists. But yeah, it's just like eventually this does end. Like the way that this whole like area of the music industry works, it does change at some point, as everything always does. And what comes next, like I'm not sure. I don't think anybody knows quite yet.
What do you think?
I mean, obviously
we're going to.
I mean, obviously, I think like off the top of the head, people are gonna say shit like NFTs. Can I curse?
Yeah.
Okay. I just realized that.
No, do it.
But yeah, I feel like people are gonna say things like that, but honestly, couldn't tell you. Like, I think it could go a lot of different ways. It's like either because I don't think we ever go back to like iTunes or purely physical, right? Like, I think that in some way, shape, or form, something like Spotify always exists, right? Like, I think that from now on, at least hopefully, we always have access to all music at all times.
Right. I mean, if anything, with NFTs and with like the direction of music, like with like, you know, artists before Taylor Swift had done it too, but she obviously did it in a bigger way because, you know, she's massive. Like, re-recording her music so that she owns it. And of course, like you said, it's also easier to make music. So, but plus NFTs like allow you to like, you know, like follow like exactly like who owns what a lot more closely. It seems like music overall is heading in more of a like private way of like individual company, like each individual is like their own company. Obviously that's already a thing, but like I wonder if that's kind of where it's heading and how that would affect like services like streaming and stuff like that in general. If maybe more people, yeah, I'm just curious like how that would go.
Well, if we're on the NFT thing, like I think that right now we have no idea what the whole NFT thing is going to amount to, but I do think that there is, and like obviously it gets a bad rap as of right now because of like the
meme investing and all those
the
things.
meme investing and just like the general type of person who is like really been about NFTs as of like since it has really become a part of the everyday conversation.
Right.
But I really do think that it has a lot of potential for the music industry because one way that people have already been using NFTs to like financially help themselves, to help artists using NFTs is basically they'll make a recording and put it out, and then like just for instance, I think this was like Imogen Heap did this, where she basically on a scale, like basically if you wanted to own 100% of the royalties in perpetuity for the rest of your life on this song, you could buy the song for $1 million. It's yours.
Right.
And so like, you know, whenever I listened to her talk about this and the person was like, well, what if that song ends up making more than $1 million and you've now lost out on it?
That's the risk.
Right. That's exactly what she says. They bet $1 million on me, so they deserve that.
Right.
And I got $1 million up front. Right. So it's like, so a lot of people are kind of like placing this value on their music. So like right now I might put a Smile Bunch track up for like $1,000. And it would just be like sick if I could just like get on a song that right now probably won't make $1,000 ever, you know, right?
Yeah, but yeah, that's definitely interesting. Like that's kind of the direction I guess that I was going, is the like ownership of music in general is going to be more like black and white in a way, or it could be if NFTs are used that way.
Yeah, I just think it gives the artists more autonomy in deciding what their future, their career looks like. Because, you know, if you don't want to put that song up for an NFT and you're betting on yourself, you know, you can do that. Or like maybe some marketing company or whatever it is, investor, like really believes in this song and they're willing to take that risk. And then maybe they buy it for $500K and they buy 50% of it. And then they just like market it to no end.
Right.
Like maybe they feel like, oh, this song is the next Industry Baby or the next Old Town Road. And they're like, I'm going to buy that up front for this and much. And then, they end up making.
Right.
So like, I feel like that changes the role of an A&R at a record label or at a, like, for anybody.
With contracts going straight to the blockchain. It's definitely different. I'm not going to say like the name of the company because I didn't like find out like that much about it, but like just from like a quick search, I got really interested and I'm hoping to learn more about like specifically NFTs with music. Cause there was one site that was making it like incredibly easy to just turn for musicians to upload like NFTs and be able to like create NFTs through their website, like making it very easy. Like you can use, MP3s, you can use artwork, you can use like anything on there. And I thought that was really interesting. And yeah, I'm just curious, like, I guess, we'll wait to find out to see, how major streaming sites are going to like try to adapt to those kind of things. I'm sure we'll see a lot more of that real soon.
Because they're going to have to at some point.
Yeah. I think out of all the industries, it seems like music has a lot to gain from like making NFTs a thing. Whereas right now it's just like, random artwork and stuff like that. Like I was saying, like Disney and Marvel and stuff are like selling, and there's a bunch of like sports stuff selling as well, like memorabilia, but it's mostly like that, like collectibles and stuff like that, digital collectibles. Whereas with music, I wonder, like you said, Ray, would have more use, as well as, people also attaching some sort of value, like, front row tickets or, VIP seats or, some sort of like experience with the band or artist or whatever. So it seems like music definitely has a lot to gain from making that a real thing.
Well, yeah, because I think that like music as an art form is different from like visual art, or like, particularly like the monkeys and stuff that have been like, popular in the NFT, right. Where like, I think kind of the whole point of that is it looks ridiculous. It doesn't even look like good, bad art, or, it's like not abstract, like whatever, but yeah. Music, while it doesn't have like inherent value, there is like a way to give music value just based off of how much people are willing to like attack. Like it's, I don't want to say more like emotional, but I think it's more easily emotional. Right? Because like obviously you can look at a painting and have strong emotions, but I think just in the general population, more people are feeling emotions. The
fact that like the vibrations resonate like inside your body, like that literally brings people to tears like everywhere.
I think there is something like about the physical, the physical aspect of like, are the vibrations different from us as human beings, and like, right, what is the universe and all that, does the music live inside of us? And right, like, yeah, probably, yeah, where like, I'm not even going to compare it to like visual art, because that obviously has its own value, right. But I do think that it's
worth 1,000 words.
Yeah, and music's worth the whole dictionary. Like no.
I know what you mean, man.
But
for sure,
I think that, I hate that Facebook joined this conversation kind of first, really, in terms of like
meta,
yeah. And I hate that, because I do think that we are headed towards some type of metaverse, and I think that it is inevitable, and I think it's going to happen without us even realizing. But with like meta and just like generally what type of people talk about this sort of thing online, like being polarizing, like I feel like people who talk about NFTs a lot of the time get grouped in with people who are like really into Joe Rogan and stuff like that.
That's very fair.
And I hate that, because I do think that there is a lot of potential, but as of right now, it's like people are just like writing it off completely, and anything like in the sphere is just like seen as bad. And, and it's just like, it's what's going to happen. Something of that sort. I'm not necessarily like NFTs or crypto or the metaverse or like all the future, but some sort of something like that. Because it's just like, if you talk to somebody in 2000 about how we use our phones, like they literally would not register. Like you would feel like it was like a horrible dystopia.
Right.
And who's to say that's not, but, but just like how the way that we interact with the internet 20 years from now will be.
Are you looking into NFTs for your music, for your music or anything like that?
Yeah, NFTs were definitely going to be a big part of the Smile Bunch revamp.
Okay.
And I do want to talk to people about, or talk to my collaborators, how they feel about doing it with the operator tracks, but
Okay.
yeah, haven't looked into it for myself that much, although I feel like I should,
Yeah.
because it couldn't hurt, right?
It's also transforming a lot. I mean, it seems like, yeah, I mean, I don't want to speak on NFTs too long, but
Sure.
it seems like that. I mean, that's obviously changing very quickly. Whereas, like, the initial launch of stuff was just like, this is a new thing, so these are valuable. But now it's more like, okay, what is the community behind these NFTs like providing for me? Like now it's like more community based and more like value based, other than just the image itself. So, so definitely that's why I think, music obviously has always had like very devoted fans, so, in all genres. So I think that's why it has so much potential there.
Yeah, and I hate that also a company, I'm not going to say their name, but the company that, what I'm talking about, that uploaded pretty much the entirety of Spotify's music onto their website and started selling them as NFTs.
Oh, yes. Yes.
It's just like, I hate that they did that, because now those people who were maybe on the fence on it are just like, dude, fuck this. Like, I'm never using NFTs.
Yeah. No, yeah, for sure.
And yeah.
I think that was just like last week or something.
Yeah.
That can of worms kind of opened up.
It's like, I didn't really care that was what was happening, because it's just like, if you're like dumb enough to buy this, like whatever.
Yeah, you're not paying attention. If like it's being sold by totally third party with no rights to this.
Yeah, it's just like, if you don't notice that like pretty much every artist on Spotify is now just all of a sudden on this website, like it's clearly a scam. Like,
where do you lie on like the Spotify versus like all the other streaming
the Neil Young thing?
Yeah, well, I mean also the Neil Young thing with him pulling out of Spotify because Joe Rogan was also, I mean, there's a lot of things with that. But I mean, I think it's, first of all, I'm just going to backtrack. I think it's crazy that that Spotify, pays upfront to have Joe Rogan's podcast on its site.
And not just Joe Rogan's.
Right.
A lot of, they're doing that for a lot of people.
Right. And, is that, I mean, I haven't looked into it. Do they do that with artists too? Or do you know that? Or
I don't know. No, I think that
we'll find out.
I think that they're doing that so like, because they're trying to get rid of Apple Podcasts. They're trying to like completely annihilate them.
Right.
So they bought up, the only two I know off of the top of my head is Joe Rogan and the Last Pod Network. So Last Podcast is on the left, and all of their like other shows. And yeah, Last Pod did end their contract with Spotify recently. So they're back on Apple Podcasts and everywhere else. But yeah, it's because I feel like they know that they're not going to end Tidal, Amazon Music, and Apple Music, but they felt like they probably could end
Apple Podcasts.
Yeah. And so, yeah, they were paying just ridiculous amounts of money up front.
For the exclusivity.
And because they know that I think they saw what happened with Tidal and like with Jay-Z and all those other artists, like keeping their music exclusively on there, like they were missing out on so much revenue by not being on Spotify. So it's just like not feasible for musicians. Whereas like $100 million up front to a podcaster is like, yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Like no, like for sure.
I'm
gonna do that.
Yeah. Are you pro or against Spotify? Obviously, they're like helping you get your like name out, or operators like music out, etc. But I mean, you also use SoundCloud and like Bandcamp, stuff like that. Like,
I mean, it's hard to take a hard stance on like kind of anything.
I mean, they're tools that are helping out. So,
like, you ever watch The Good Place?
I can't say I have.
No, sorry. Okay, all right. I won't spoil it, but yeah, just kind of this thing of like, there's always like everything is messed up, and there's always going to be like, I mean, we live in like, Spotify is like a multi-billion-dollar corporation, so like obviously they're doing something bad, but they're also
they're gonna say that they're doing something good, so they're right.
No, they're like, I think that anything like
that's super successful like that, like at that level,
they're like probably violating some sort of human rights, or at least like being like morally and ethically
that's
like
the like
ambiguous.
Amazon argument, or anybody making $1 billion.
Yeah, like I mean. Yeah, people like shouldn't hoard that much wealth and all that, whatever. So Spotify as a concept, one of the greatest things to ever happen to music. Like at its core, the service that it provides makes sense on why pretty much everyone you know uses it or uses like an offshoot of it. You know, could they pay artists more? Like, of course. Like, I don't really know what to say about the Joe Rogan thing because, like, I don't know. I don't want to like defend Spotify, but like Joe Rogan really was like not as toxic, I guess you could say, whenever they signed him up for this. And he's like really dug into the whole like conspiracy theories and stuff. Like, he used to be he was like, people didn't like him because he was like, like he gave people a platform. Like he would have Alex Jones and Jordan Peterson or whoever it was like on his podcast, and so people didn't like him for that. But then once he really started like, this is like who I am, I'm like also one of those guys, you know, is I feel like when it really went down, I don't know, like Spotify's evil, Joe Rogan's probably evil, like Neil Young moving his music off of Spotify but keeping it on Amazon. It's just like, that's not a moral stance. It's it's a PR marketing stunt. Like Neil Young like hasn't been relevant in 20 years, so he decided to make himself relevant again. And then who else did it? Some lady.
There are a few.
Yeah,
we can look it up.
But like, I feel like anybody else who kind of like joined Neil Young in that venture was like just trying to ride off of the PR marketing stunt that he started. And it's just like, whatever, who cares? These are all just like extremely rich people just like trying to make a little bit more money. So it's like, whatever, man.
You did go, so we didn't say this earlier, but you did go to school for music business specifically.
Yes.
And so that consisted of taking music classes and business classes.
That's right.
How much do you think that helped, or do you think that going to school set you back on your music goals?
Like a little bit of both. Like, I think while I was going to school, I was kind of bitter just because, like, you know, the music program where I went to school, it was UT, only provided 4 music business courses. So I was just like, this is like dumb or whatever. And I was just like, I was really banking on I want to just do like music business. So any of the music courses I took, I like wasn't as invested in. But you know, one thing I didn't realize while I was doing that was like the connections I was making were going to be invaluable.
Right. It's always been what I feel like, especially like for creative fields, like you did music business and I did like film, and that was definitely my biggest takeaway.
Yeah. It's just like, I feel like I could have never gone to class and I probably would have been just as well off. Like, I'm like glad I went to some particular classes, but there were definitely classes I absolutely could have never walked into and would have been just as well off. But yeah, I think that I wish that somebody, when I was graduating high school, was just like, meet as many people as you can. Like, literally, that's like why you're going. You know?
Yeah.
You know, if you're like going to be an engineer or a doctor, like go to class also.
Yeah. And how many people from music and business from college do you still collaborate with?
Quite a few.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah. I mean, we obviously went to college together.
Yeah, we went to school together.
But we weren't in the same program. We were in a secret music fraternity. It's secret. Yeah, we did that.
We sang some songs.
No, let's not sing any songs.
But we could.
We did, our fraternity did all men. It was like an all men's a cappella like choir thing.
Yeah, that's effectively what it amounted to at its core.
Yeah.
Which is kind of fun.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah, it was fun.
Yeah, met a ton of people.
Yeah, we started a band.
Yeah, it's still going to this day.
It's still going.
Yeah, but how many people I collaborate with from music school? Not as many.
Okay, if somebody like is about to graduate high school and they want to do music as a career, should they go to school for music?
I think it depends on what you want to do. My initial thought was obviously no, but it's like, if you want to be like, it depends, right?
Mhm.
If you want to like take a similar path to what I'm doing, I would definitely say do like marketing or advertising or something of that sort.
Mhm.
But yeah, if you want to be like a session musician or a film composer, like, yeah, go to music school for sure. Or you're like a band director, like you pretty much have to go to music school to do that.
Mhm.
But yeah, like, take some music classes, get a private tutor, or not tutor, but like lesson teacher of some sort, maybe on your instrument or singing or whatever it is.
Mhm.
You can do that on the side for sure. But if you want to be like a musician, yeah, like a large part of being a music student is like practicing several hours a day, and
Right.
that's like your homework.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just like, but then some of the best musicians I know didn't go to music school, right? So like, who's to
Self-taught.
say? Yeah, like,
Well, how many instruments do you play?
I mean, I feel like I play one kind of well, and then I play like whatever, give or take, like 3 more semi well.
Yeah.
So like, I've been picking up the horn again.
Nice.
I don't know if you saw that.
That was your first instrument, though, right?
Kinda. I think the first instrument I ever tried was piano. Because the rule in my house growing up was if I wanted to play sports, I had to play an instrument.
Oh,
and I wanted to play
that's
sports.
pretty nice.
Yeah.
That's
I hated
awesome.
it at the time, and I'm super glad my mom implemented that.
Yeah.
But yeah, horn, euphonium, that horn was the
Just
first.
like a blowhorn.
Yeah, just a flugelhorn or whatever it is, just a horn. No, euphonium was the first instrument I like ever took. Probably really the only instrument I ever took like super seriously. Like, that's what got me into music school, right? Is playing euphonium.
Right.
And then I didn't play it for like 5 years, and back at it.
Yeah.
Better than ever. Like, for real.
Yeah, euphonium, piano, guitar,
Yeah.
and
I wouldn't really consider bass a separate instrument, but
bass.
I do have a bass.
A little bit of drums.
Yeah, I can make my way through some drums.
But mostly your music is made on a keyboard now. Like a computer keyboard.
Yeah.
Or not really. Most of it's still like recorded. You were still recording guitar, recording several instruments.
It depends. Like, I would say that if I had an instrument to make like the lo-fi, it would be like a sampler of some sort, or like, yeah, just like plucking away at some chords and then building a track around that using like whatever I feel like calls for it. So yeah, like a lot of like arpeggiators and stuff played on a keyboard, but
Right.
like, not what you would think of as like playing piano.
Right. Right. How much did you spend up front on your gear so you can start making music?
That's a good question. I mean, it's a lot of like gradual things bought over
Like
time.
upgrading.
Yeah. But yeah, I graduated college and people gave me like gifts for that, right? It
Nice.
was like a little.
Did you walk
family
away
members.
from college with any college debt?
Yes.
Yeah.
Still have some.
Still
to
have
this
some?
day.
Oh, okay. That's crazy.
Yeah.
But good luck.
Do you not have any?
I don't.
Dude.
I was really
Congrats.
lucky. Really lucky. I had my first 2 years paid off by the state.
Oh, nice.
And then my other 2 years, I paid for my housing, and my parents were able, thankfully, to pay for the tuition.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Damn. That's nice.
Yeah, I was super lucky for sure. Not everybody has that opportunity for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think with music now that you found like more streams of income, does it seem like you're being able to pay that off quicker now, or the same?
No.
Steady pace.
At least for now. Like, I mean, I think things pick up more and more every day, but like right now it's, once I like basically realized I was making just as much money outside of my day-to-day job as I was on music, I was just like, all right, I'm just going to throw out that source of income.
Yeah.
Because it's like a huge time suck.
Right.
And I feel like I could make up even that portion of it in spending more time doing stuff I actually want to do.
Right. So how much, sorry, going back to the previous question, how much do you think overall, like your gear that you currently have, software, instruments, like how much do you think you need to start making music like that with the kit that you currently have?
I mean, you know, I have a lot of gear that's not necessarily necessary, right?
Right.
I mean, you could make music just on a MacBook, you know, or just like on just a sampler or whatever. So like, I would say bare minimum to like record a sound, like I would recommend a MacBook or a computer at all.
It's still the go-to for music stuff.
Yeah, I think you could get away with like a Windows computer, but you know, I use Logic and Logic's only on Macs.
Right.
So like if you wanted to use Ableton or Pro Tools or any of those other ones, a Windows computer would do the same thing basically.
So about $3,000 to start making music.
I mean, I bought my laptop off of Facebook for $500.
There you go. Nice.
You know, it's gotten me this far. So
what?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Cool.
So I would like, yeah, if you're asking for like a high schooler who's like trying to get into it or whatever, I would say computer, interface, microphone, MIDI keyboard. Those would be like, because you could do most of those things on the computer, but it's going to be much easier and much higher quality.
You can buy all those things used.
Yeah, like dude, I buy almost nothing new. Like the microphone we recorded on, used. My interface is new. My desk, my speakers, my drum set, all of that's used.
With that bare bones kit that you just mentioned, would that still sound professional if it were uploaded to Spotify?
I mean, it depends on how well you do. Like,
it's more on like the individual practice.
Yeah, like it at its core, like that's what makes music. Like, you know, you can have the conversation of like using like a big mixing board or like analog versus, you know, using like an interface, like,
right.
And that those things are marginal, right? Like if you're not mixing well or you're not like getting good recordings using the stuff you have, like it's not going to sound good. But like I bought my microphone for $60 and like that used properly will sound better than somebody using a $10,000 microphone used badly. Right? So yeah, I would say the most important things are like making great songs, recording great arrangements, using good recording techniques, and then mixing at a professional level, and then mastering to Spotify standards. How
long did it take you to kind of get comfortable producing on Logic?
That's a good question. I mean, I used GarageBand for several years, like here and there, not like a ton. But once the pandemic hit, I was just like, great, schedule's completely open.
Nice.
I was like, I got the time to like reevaluate my life, watch The Sopranos, and play on the computer.
At the same time.
Yeah, sometimes at the same time. But yeah, I would say, you know, I spent the bulk of 2020 like doing a lot of like YouTube University and a lot of just like anywhere I could learn from, a lot of listening to podcasts of producers. Pensato's Place, great podcast. They have like all of the best names come on. And one thing that I love about their podcast is at the end, they do, I can't remember what they call it, but basically the host just like spits out like a piece of gear or a concept in music. He'll be like, low end, and then the producer has to give a one word answer, and so like they'll like throw out pieces of gear, and then they'll be like mix bus, or they'll say like what comes to mind effectively from that. And I think that is like a great way to like be exposed to the gear professionals are using, and then also how they're applying it, or at least their philosophy on it. So sorry, very long answer. I would say I'm still always getting better, but I would say it took me like probably a year and a half before I was just like, every time I sat down, I was just like, I know what I'm doing for like 95% of the time.
Right.
And then the other 5%, I can do a quick Google search and learn how to do it. But yeah, I'd say like, but that's like doing it every single day. Like, there are very few days I don't get on the computer and do something.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I said, not really a choice I had.
Right.
You know.
Right. I mean, yeah, especially when everyone's locked in at home, but
well, no, just like
now.
Yeah,
too.
once that clicked in my mind of like, because you know, there was a lot of time I like didn't know exactly what it was I wanted to do, like all this, like a lot of doubt and stuff. But then when the pandemic hit, like obviously a horrible thing that happened, it gave me and a lot of people the chance to like sit down, reevaluate like what they actually wanted out of life. And then once I realized that this is what I wanted, then like just couldn't look back, never did. I mean, there's days where it's like, am I doing the right thing? But
those are the days you got to push the hardest.
Exactly. Well, yeah, and it's just like, usually if I find myself in that state of like, is this like, you know, whatever, doubting my life choices or whatever, it's just because I haven't gotten on the computer and like tried to mess with something. And then once I'm back in it, it's just like, oh yeah, like this is the best thing in the whole world.
Okay. And lastly, any last advice for somebody who wants to start making music and start making money off of music?
I don't know. Don't give up. All that. Look for all the different ways you can make money off of music and pick a few of them.
Pick a few of them. Yeah. That's good advice. That's good advice. And what's next for you? What are you working on next? What's coming? What are the goals for this year and maybe for 5 years from now?
Yeah, I've got a bunch of music that's like close to being done. So I'm trying to put out like 20 operator tracks this year. Got some stuff is like very much in the works that I can't say that I'm very excited about.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, my goal last year was 1 million streams. Hit that.
Awesome.
But, yeah, this year it's 5.
Okay.
Which I'm on my way.
It's supposed to compound, right? It's like
exactly
it's exponential.
Yeah, so I can't go 2. I gotta go 5. You know?
That's right.
5 years from now, I mean, basically just keep doing what I'm doing, but like making a lot more money.
Okay.
Which, yeah, if anything has gone like the past couple of years, then it doesn't seem like too far of a crazy goal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But, yeah.
Awesome, man. Well, thanks so much for hopping on.
I could talk all day.
But yeah, I'm so glad. Thanks, man.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Sweet.
This was fun.
Dope. I think we're good.